Good. We will call this meeting to order August 19th, 2025. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good morning, everyone. We do have a quorum present this morning with all 5 commissioners in attendance. Commissioners, we do have a need to amend the agenda before you this morning with the removal of item C9 under the action and presentation items. We approved that fire restriction during a special meeting last week on the 13th. And since then, we've also had a catering permit come before us as a request from Santa Fe Trails to cater the Solvay barbecue at the county park in Jamestown on August 21st. So we'll slip that one in place of the fire restriction. And if there are any questions on that, we can address that. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Toman.
I would make that motion.
Got a motion to approve the amended agenda by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next course of action is tab A. We've got 4 items, 4 public hearings this morning from the Planning and Zoning Commission. First being Resolution 25-08-ZO-01, a variance permit application from Section 5G of the Sweetwater County zoning regulations, as requested by Hector Ortega Navarrete, I'm sure I messed that one up, with ORPA for a 3-foot encroachment into the front setback of a 20-foot and 5-foot encroachment into the rear setback of 10 feet to bring a manufactured home on the property into compliance with the Sweetwater County zoning resolution. And joining us this morning is County Planner Cassidy Brown. Good morning, Cassidy.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for this first hearing, it's again, applicant Hector Ortega Navarrete, and then the address for the property is 105 Ranch View Drive in Rock Springs, Wyoming. The current zoning on the property is MH manufactured home. Infrastructure includes Fire District Number 1 response area, Ranch View Drive, Rocky Mountain Power, and then Clearview Improvement and Service District. So basically what's going on with this one is that a step was missed in the permitting process, and a variance from setback requirements will be necessary for the proposed single-wide manufactured home to be located on the existing lot. It is, falls within that average size range of a single-wide manufactured home. So per the Sweetwater County zoning regulations, the rear setback required is 10 feet and the front setback required is 20 feet. An encroachment of 3 feet into the front setback and 5 feet into the rear setback is being requested. Upon further review and field inspection, staff found that encroachments into the front and especially the rear setbacks are common in this area. We have granted variances in the past to address the setback issues in this neighborhood. There was specifically one in 2014 that was done over on Locust Drive, so very, very near to this location. And it appears that it may be necessary for us to go back through and maybe adjust the setback requirements for the MH zone district. The applicant has also conducted an 811, and staff has not received any negative comments from agencies or the public regarding this request. Here's our location and zoning map. It's in an MH zone district, and here's our view from the front and rear. We just wanted to show that you can kind of see, although the trailer or the manufactured home that's shown here is in the setback, it's pretty typical. It looks like it's not any really further into the setback than surrounding properties are. Also, the applicant did want to state, I'm not sure if he made it online or not. He is okay. The front of the home no longer looks this way, so he has addressed that and fixed that as well. All right, and then we've posted our public notice there. And that brings us to our review criteria for the variance. This variance request is necessary due to the small lot sizes within the neighborhood. Land use staff is looking into lessening the requirements for the MH zoning districts just to create more appropriate zoning regulations for this. If the variance is not granted, the applicant would be required to remove the home that has been placed on the property. And the setback variance that is being requested is the minimum adjustment that would be necessary to bring the home into regulation or into compliance with regulations. Third, granting the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning resolution. And staff finds that the variance request should not be injurious to the neighborhood and will provide adequate fire distance from adjacent properties. All right. So with our public and agency comments, we did receive two, both stating that we're all clear. So Jared Martin, Tesoro Logistics Northwest Pipeline said they're in the clear. And Mark Berry with Lumen said that there were no issues identified, although copper does appear to be present near the eastern edge of the property. And at the August 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the P&Z Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval of Resolution 2508-Z001 for a variance from setback requirements, with the staff recommended condition that the variance from the 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolution setback requirements is specific to the manufactured home that's permitted to be placed on the property. And that is all I have for this one, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cassidy. Appreciate that. Any questions on the proposed variance permit application, commissioners? We do have the applicant who's joined us online as well, if you have any questions for the applicant. If not, we do need to open this up for a public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to address this variance permit application, now is the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve Resolution 25-08-ZO-01 for approval of a variance application for a 3-foot encroachment into the 20-foot front setback and 5-foot into the 10-foot rear setback from Section 5.G of the 2015 zoning resolution as requested by Hector Ortega Navarrete, subject to staff recommendations.
Do you have a motion to approve Resolution 2508-Z001 by Commissioner Slaughter? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Next under tab A is item number 2. We've got Resolution 25-08-ZO-02. The zoning map amendment in accordance with Section 20 of the Sweetwater County zoning regulations as requested by Clyde Companies, Joseph Amonte, for the zoning district of approximately 160 acres, more or less, to be amended from agricultural A to mineral development MD1. And we'll hand it back to Cassidy.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So not to restate everything that you just said, I'll just jump in with the infrastructure that exists here. We've got Green River Fire Response Area, and then it's off of Wyoming Highway Highway 372. The purpose of this hearing is a zone map amendment from agriculture to mineral development to allow for expansion of the existing Laos gravel pit. So the existing pit is 40 acres, which is the maximum gravel quarry size that's permitted within agricultural zoning. The intent is to expand the Laos gravel pit to 160 acres total, and that will be that size of gravel pit is permitted within the MD1 zoning district with an approved gravel mining permit. So just looking to change the zoning there so that they can expand and apply for that gravel mining permit, which they have submitted that as well. Here's our zoning map, so you can see the proposed area that we're looking to change the zoning on. Surrounding areas or surrounding properties are also zoned MD1 and then also for agricultural use. We posted public notice and the view to the north, south, east, and west. And we'll go into the review criteria for the zone map amendment now. So the first is that the zone map amendment does encourage growth and development to continue in an orderly manner and in locations that contribute to the economic and social well-being of county residents. Second, the proposed zoning is suitable for the existing topography, and it does help to create more buildable parcel. The area has large amounts of MD1 zone land surrounding the existing gravel pit already, and so to go in with the third requirement here, that the proposed zoning is compatible with existing or allowable uses of adjacent properties. We find that it is, I mean, again, it's surrounded by agriculture and mineral development zone districts currently. Fourth requirement here, there are adequate public facilities already located on the existing property because, you know, there is a current gravel pit in existence there. And then anything that needs to be addressed, we will address through the mining permit process. Fifth, the amendment shall not adversely affect adjacent properties, communities, or the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Sweetwater County. And land use staff does not foresee any adverse effect on the adjacent properties and have not received any comments or concerns otherwise. And this request does conform to all applicable provisions of the 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolution. We received a couple of comments from agencies. First, Aaron Bowling from Rocky Mountain Power did state, just please be cognizant of Rocky Mountain Power's transmission line that runs through the southeast portion of this area. I did forward this comment on to the applicant, and they responded back to me just letting me know that there's an internal standard for working next to power lines. They reached out to Rocky Mountain Power to work with them and just make sure that they're all good to move forward on that front. And the applicant is online today as well. Another comment we received was Jared Martin with Tesoro Logistics Northwest Pipeline stating that they're in the clear, and Mark Berry with Lumen stated that they look to have copper in the right of way on 372, but there's no conflict with this project. And then at the August 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the PNC Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval of Resolution 25-08-ZO-02 for a zone map amendment from agriculture to MD1 as requested by the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cassidy. Appreciate that. Any questions for staff on the zoning map amendment, commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Tillman.
I do have a concern. There are 4 livestock operators in that area, and on these gravel pits, it's become an issue. They complain about the cows getting on the gravel pit and they don't fence these gravel pits. They could at least put electric fence around or something would avoid that kind of conflict.
Can we put that in the gravel pit, in the mining?
It's become a big issue. I noticed the livestock operators are having to haul water across the highway to accommodate that, but it still doesn't cover all of the operators in that area.
Yeah, the applicant is online if we maybe can have them speak to that, Commissioner Tillman.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Happy to do that. The wildlife, fish and game strongly recommended no fencing at this time due to its location in a pronghorn migration corridor at this time. So happy to proceed with the electric fence to help with the cattle, but the Wyoming Fish and Game strongly recommended no fencing to allow for migration through the area.
Well, in the past, it's been an issue when cows get on the gravel pit or get in the area, especially during the reclamation period. So I would at least recommend that electric fencing be installed when you're doing the reclamation, if you don't care about the cow pies before that.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll add that to the mine permit when we submit it here in a bit. Happy to be a good neighbor.
Thank you very much.
Any additional questions for either staff or the applicant? If not, we do need to open this up for public hearing as well. So at this time, if there's anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak to this zoning map amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jones,
can move to approve resolution 25-08-ZO-02 for approval of zoning map amendment from agriculture A to mineral development MD1 requested by Joseph Amonte, Clyde Companies.
you have a motion to approve resolution 2508-Z002 by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. It's going to move us right along to item number 3 this morning, which is resolution 25-08-ZO-03. Another zoning map amendment in accordance with section 20 of the Sweetwater County zoning regulations as requested by John and Kara Imoni for the zoning district of approximately 61.98 acres, more or less, to be amended from single-family residential R2SF to rural residential RR. Hand it back to Cassidy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Infrastructure on the property that was just described is Fire District Number 1 response area, 10-mile water and sewer district, and Kelly Road. The purpose of this hearing is to amend the zoning of said parcel from single-family residential to rural residential to better meet the needs of the property owner. Multiple other properties in the vicinity are also zoned for rural residential use. You can see here on our zoning map, these are very large lots or parcels that are existing right here in this neighborhood. And the applicant has stated that changing the zoning to rural residential would better meet the needs of their family. They're looking to put a home on the property with several outbuildings to support their activities such as FFA and 4-H. We did post public notice on July 1st, and then we've got our views to the north, south, east, and west of the property here. And to go into the criteria for the zone map amendment, the first is that the amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and comprehensive plan. Staff finds that it is. The proposed zoning is suitable for the existing topography and creates buildable lots. As shown in the zoning map, multiple parcels in the vicinity are also zoned for rural residential use, and this is suitable zoning for the existing topography as well. Let's see. So again, surrounded by other large parcels zoned for rural residential use, so would be compatible zoning with the existing allowable uses and surrounding uses there. The fourth is that the proposed zoning can demonstrate adequate public facilities, including roads, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, and police and fire protection. Access to the property via Kelly Road does exist, and then provisions for other facilities will be made during the construction permitting process. As soon as the property owners decide to put a home on the property, that's when we'll really, look through and make sure that they've got sewer, water, all of those other requirements there. The fifth is that the amendment shall not adversely affect adjacent properties, communities, or the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Sweetwater County. And the amendment does not have any adverse effects that we can foresee here. We really haven't received any negative comments. I did receive one comment of concern from an adjacent property owner, but we'll get to that in just one moment. The sixth is that the request does conform to all applicable provisions of the resolution, and staff finds that it does conform to the zoning resolution. Jared Martin with Tesora Logistics Northwest Pipeline said they're in the clear. The adjacent property owner that did call in a comment to us, Charlotte Pruden Ross, says that the Indian Nose subdivision on Lakota has a drainage ditch that's located along the south side property boundary. And this drainage abuts Charlotte Prudence Ross's property, and she just wanted to make sure that the drainage ditch is not removed. So it would be this property here is where we're looking at, down at the southern side of the applicant's property. It's this one sort of in the corner that's zoned for R2SF. When we were at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, it was asked if there's actually an easement for a drainage ditch there, and from what I can tell, there's not a recorded easement based off of the original plat of the Indian Hills subdivision. So that's going to be something, that's kind of up to the applicant and the adjacent property owner to work on, since there's not currently a recorded easement there. So don't know that maybe that's just something that came to be as time went on, but it's not recorded that there's a drainage easement. And at the August 13th, 2025, not 2015, wow, sorry, I almost said that. The August 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the P&Z Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval of Resolution 25-08-ZO-03 for a zone map amendment from R2 SF to rural residential as requested by the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cassidy. Any questions for staff on the zoning map amendment as proposed? Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Imoni's here as well. They're all getting off easy today. If not, we do need to have a public hearing for this one as well. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to this proposed zoning map amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
move to approve resolution 25-08-ZO-03 for the approval of a zoning map amendment from single family residential to rural residential requested by John and Kara Iamone.
Got a motion to approve resolution 2508-ZO-03 by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Toman.
I would second that.
Got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Good luck. It's going to bring us to our last item, which is item number 4, resolution 2025-08-CC-05, a certified resolution to the 2015 zoning resolution sections 4, 5, 17, 19, and 21. Joining us this morning is Land Use Director Eric Bingham. Morning, Eric.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on June 17th, the Board of County Commissioners announced their intent to adopt amendments to the Sweetwater County zoning resolution. What we're amending, just to recall the several amendments, was we are adding campground regulations into the supplemental use, which will establish development criteria based on whether it's within the growth management area or outside. The other one, there was a big language amendment that I've been eager to bring before you, is the wireless communication facilities, which establishes standards based on the height of the tower. And of course, I know the chairman has been very excited about the stealth wireless communication facilities. So Mr. Chairman, whether you want that to look like a tree or a chicken, doesn't matter.
You would want. Let's be clear.
Hey, that's right. Yeah.
About a cactus.
There you go. Right. That is established in the standards. And then, of course, the appropriate definitions to implement those regulations were amended in the definition section. So before you is a certification page. We've had the 45-day by Wyoming statute, by Administrative Procedures Act has passed. There has been no public comment, Mr. Chairman. We recommend that you approve Resolution 2508-CC05, amendments to the Sweetwater County zoning resolution. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. For what it's worth, I was in Jackson last week, and they have a very nice looking pine tree
Hey.
tower. So just to point that out for you. Any questions on the certification of the resolution, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
do we need a separate vote to authorize the signing of the certification, or will that just fall under the passage of the resolution?
Typically what we've done, and John, unless you have issues with it, we've certified the resolution. So you certify the all in one motion to certify, and this is just, I know it's two documents, just the way statute's written, but certifying the resolution, I believe, accomplishes both. You okay with that? Oh, one and the same.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, commissioners, what's, or no, wait a minute. We have to also open this one up to a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr.
Pardon me there. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to this proposed resolution certification, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones,
move to approve resolution 25-08-CC-05. Excuse me, proposed language amendments to 2015 Sweetwater County zoning regulations, sections 4, 5, 17, 19, and 21.
do you have a motion to approve resolution 2025-08-CC-05?
Mr. Chairman, can we add in that certify? Move to certify.
We do have a motion to approve and certify resolution 2025-08-CC-05. Does that work?
Yeah.
By Commissioner Jones, if you're good with that, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Cassidy. That's going to move us right along. We're ahead of schedule today, so let's keep the momentum going. To county resident comments and concerns. At this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to address the governing body on any issues, now's the appropriate time. We limit it to 3 minutes, and the floor is open. With none, we'll go ahead and close the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. That's going to move us right along into tab B, commissioners. Under tab B is the consent agenda this morning. We've got 9 items for your approval. First being the approval of the August 5th, 2025 meeting minutes. Second is the approval of the county vouchers, warrants, the expenditure approval listing, and the commissioner's report. Third is the approval of bonds. Fourth, the approval of monthly reports. Fifth is a request for the approval to restaff a vacant position in the clerk's office. Sixth is a request for the approval to restaff a vacant position in the sheriff's office. Seventh is a request to ratify the Coalition of Local Governments comments on the USDA's interim final rule for removal of National Environmental Policy Act implementing regulations, the USDA 2025-0008. 8 is the request to approve the Purdue opioid settlement. And 9th is a request for your approval on a letter of recommendation for the Community Fine Arts Center to receive the 2025 Governor's Arts Award that was prepared by Commissioner Richards. This time I'd ask if there's any items that you would like to remove from the consent agenda. With none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I would make that motion.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Tillman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. It's going to move us right along into commissioner comments. And up first today is Commissioner Richards.
Honestly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners. I'd like to say it's been a quiet and relaxing couple of weeks, but the truth is it's been a whirlwind of work on behalf of Sweetwater County. Bright and early the Wednesday after our last meeting, I joined the Wyoming County Commissioners Association's congressional staff tour at South Pass just before they entered Sweetwater County. Commissioner Toman and Jim Magagna joined as well. The group had just toured the Carissa Mill at South Pass City, and we joined them for a walk through the historic town. The highlight was the old general store where staffers were treated to fresh ground coffee from a century-old grinder. And in a fun piece of personal history, we learned that Mr. Magagna, as a child, actually shopped in that very same historic store. Before I go further, let me explain who this group was. These were 14 senior congressional staffers split evenly between the parties who work for members of both the House and the Senate, primarily on committees that shape energy, land use, and environmental policy. Most of them have never seen Wyoming beyond a vacation in Jackson or Yellowstone. For them, this was their very first real look at Wyoming, at the Wyoming we live in, and the industries that sustain us. And it was clear from the outset that this group was smart, engaged, and asked thoughtful questions. And that is the purpose of this trip. Its purpose would not have been possible without our county's membership in the WCCA. These staffers shape decisions that directly affect our people and our economy. We had the opportunity to show them what Sweetwater County is, who we are, and the challenges we face. From my point of view, it's incomparable. It was an incomparable opportunity to share Sweetwater County with people from Washington, D.C., who otherwise would be making decisions about our lives, having never have even visited. From South Pass, the tour crossed the northern Red Desert. Along the way, Commissioner Toman and Mr. McGagna spoke about agriculture, wild horse management, and the ever-changing federal rules that complicate both land use and development. Of course, we stopped at the Farce and Merck for ice cream. No trip through Sweetwater County would be complete without that. We then continued to the Seed Skiddy Wildlife Refuge, where we provided them lunch, and refuge staff explained the history, mission, and challenges of the refuge. From there, we headed to the known sodium leasing area, where I shared facts about its economic significance to Sweetwater County, Wyoming, and the nation. It was interesting how many of them didn't even know what Trona is. This was an opportunity to show them one of our major industries, and an industry that is so critical to the security of our entire nation, and a lot of them didn't even know it existed. Our next major stop was the Shishigem Trona mine. Neil Malakote and a full team from the company, including their CEO and CFO, all the way from Turkey, and also senior staffers from around the country welcomed the group. They gave an in-depth overview of the soda ash industry, its economic importance, and the regulatory hurdles it faces. Then they took the group underground. For most of these staffers, it was the first time they'd ever seen an active mine in operation. They witnessed miners at work, bolts being placed, crushers running, and most importantly, they spoke directly with the men and women who worked there. It was probably the information highlight of their entire tour that ran all week. I want to thank Neil and everybody at Shishigem for their hospitality and for showing Washington staffers what our industries truly look like here in Sweetwater County. That evening, we showed the group the Green River Greenbelt Trail System, thanks to John Freeman and Tom Wilson, and then took them to Buckboard Marina. On the way, Christy Stoll of Williams discussed the impacts of pipeline regulations and the abuse of environmental rules that cost her industry dearly. At Buckboard, Tony and Jen Valdez arranged boats to give the group a tour of the Flaming Gorge. Afterwards, they hosted a bison ribeye dinner at their resort, during which representatives from the Ashley National Forest spoke about the gorge's management and upcoming facility upgrades. I want to pause here and say what Tony and Jen have built at Buckboard is remarkable. In just six years, they've transformed it into a true destination. And if you haven't been, go. They serve lunch and dinner on weekends, and one Saturday of the month, they fly in fresh seafood. It's definitely worth the trip. The next morning, the tour continued east. The Rock Springs Chamber Director spoke about coal. Airport Director Brubaker briefed them on rural air service and the new terminal. And Chairman West and Commissioner Jones joined to explain the Rock Springs Resource Management Plan and the current amendment process. We pointed out our coal mines, our power plant, and the opportunities and challenges of the Southern Red Desert. After about 24 hours, we handed the group off to Carbon County. It wasn't nearly enough time to capture all that Sweetwater County is, but I think we gave it a strong shot. The staffers didn't want to leave Flaming Gorge, and I don't blame them. Commissioner Slaughter did an excellent job of building the itinerary, even though he didn't get to participate, but I'm sure he thought a lot about us while he was in Africa. The WCCA will follow up by sending them a yearbook with photos and contacts from the tour, and will host a dinner with them at next year's NACO conference in Washington, keeping Wyoming on their radar. I wasn't going to bring this up, but it needs to be said. Last week during the Corporations Committee meeting, one of our local legislators again argued that counties shouldn't spend tax money to be members of organizations like the WCCA. She and several colleagues have now filed nearly identical public records requests around the state, demanding to know how WCCA spends its money. Now, let's be clear, Sweetwater County's appropriations to WCCA are fully public. They've been authorized in open meetings, published like every other county expenditure. But WCCA is a statewide membership organization, not a government entity, so its internal spending isn't subject to county level records requests. You'd think that the people who write the statutes would understand that. What troubles me more is the coordination. Did each legislator come up with the same list of requests on their own? Or is there a coordinated effort or even outside direction at play? And why are legislators demanding taxpayer resources to duplicate information already available in public records of our appropriations? Doesn't seem like a very efficient use of taxpayer funds to me. So here's the bottom line. Membership in WCCA isn't about perks or politics. It's about ensuring Sweetwater County has a voice with regulators, congressional staff, federal delegates, state officials, other counties, and yes, the state legislature. Every conversation I just described with those Washington staffers happened because of our membership. To try to strip us of that ability while taking text message marching orders from outside handlers is hypocrisy of the highest order. Okay, enough of that. Following week on the 13th, at the request of the Sweetwater County Fire Warden, I joined you all for a special meeting to adopt Stage 1 fire restrictions. With severe drought, Sweetwater County is a tinderbox, and we simply cannot risk open flames or fireworks in unimproved areas until conditions change. Since we made that decision, over 96% of the county has moved into D2 or worse drought conditions, with more than 56% at D3. Details are in the resolution, but the message is simple. Don't do it. Don't be the spark that lights Sweetwater County on fire. Later that day, I joined you in meeting with Senator Barrasso's staff about economic development, and the next day I attended the Rock Springs Chamber luncheon with Governor Gordon. He was candid, answered tough questions, and then stayed behind for a roundtable with local officials. I thank him for his consistent attention to Sweetwater County. On the 17th, I attended the ribbon cutting for the Waldner House donated to the Hospital Foundation to provide lodging for non-local patients receiving care here. On the 18th, I joined Chamber Day at the races, celebrating a new horse paddock built through partnership between Wyoming Horse Racing and the events complex. It was a great day showcasing many Wyoming-bred horses competing and winning. Yesterday, I met with Land Use Director Bingham and Chief Deputy Attorney De Leon on the Industrial Siting Impact Funds application for the Dry Piney Helium project in Sublette County. Initially, Sublette was ineligible because they lack a 5-cent sales tax, but now the state says that if they promise to pursue and adopt one, they can host the process and apply for the funds. That's unprecedented. I'm not sure how it's going to work, and nobody knows what happens if their ballot fails, but I guess we're going to muddle through it and see how it works. Meanwhile, Industrial Siting has informed us that they have now disallowed the total cost of government model it once encouraged. That vindicates Sweetwater County's approach in recent projects. We pioneered a project-based statute-compliant funding method tied to the 5 nexuses in law, and we stood by it even when others didn't or were even rewarded for ignoring it. Now the state has validated our approach. For now, the application only shows northern Sweetwater County is impacted by Dry Piney, excluding Green River, who I believe falls within the project's own definition of what an affected area is. I believe a case can be made that Green River should be included, but that's an argument for them to make. We will keep working on it. Time limits are pretty short. We have till the 29th to have an MOU in place, and as of yet, not heard from Sublette County. in scheduling a meeting for that. Looking ahead, later this afternoon, the SEDC will meet. Tomorrow morning, the airport board meets. And next Wednesday, August 27th, the new terminal opens for all flights. We are finally going to have a beautiful modern airport in Sweetwater County, and the grand opening celebration for that will be on September 12th. I hope you can all attend. Friday evening, the Memorial Hospital Foundation hosts their casino night fundraiser at the events complex. On the 25th, I'll tour the Sublet Pronghorn Migration Corridor with the Game and Fish. And on the 26th, I'll attend the Southwest Counseling Board meeting and board training. After that, I hope to spend a little time camping in the Bridger Teton before the weather changes. And then finally, on September 15th, I've been invited back to the Idaho National Laboratory to continue learning about the nuclear supply chain. Nuclear energy and the industries tied to it are coming to Wyoming, whether we like it or not. And the only way to make good decisions for our community is to be informed. And I intend to stay engaged and keep learning. I think that's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman. It's been like I said, a whirlwind couple of weeks working on behalf of Sweetwater County. It's what we were all elected to do, and I'll continue to do it as the best I can. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Doesn't sound like you've been up to much the last couple of weeks. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Richards' report? I appreciate your work. You kind of took the lead on the congressional tour, and thought you did a fantastic job with that. So certainly appreciate all your hard work there. With no questions, Commissioner Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 6th, I attended the Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County Board of Trustees meeting. Most of what I've reported on in the past was covered. However, CEO Irene Richardson did report on the strategic planning and where the hospital sits in regards to those various elements. Irene also announced that Ron Cheese has announced his retirement after around 34 years of service. So special thanks to Ron for putting in that many years and that much dedication. Ron will stay around to make sure there's a smooth transition. But after that, I wish him well and thank him for all of his years. Also on the 6th, I drove to Buckboard Marina to spend some time with congressional staffers. It was reviewed, so I won't go into details on that. I think Commissioner Richards did a fine job, but it sure was great to have a little time to talk with some of those folks and talk to them about Wyoming. I think we all kind of take for granted how much we know and the people we know about Wyoming, but you grab somebody from a completely different part of the country and it's a totally different conversation. So very, very valuable. On the morning of the 7th, I attended at least part of the enterprise meeting where there was a presentation from Southwest Wyoming Manufacturing Partners. Wasn't able to attend the entire meeting as I did meet the Rock Springs Chamber so we could get on the bus to finish out the congressional tour that Commissioner Slaughter worked so hard on and did such a great job organizing. I was, as mentioned, able to join Chairman West talking about the negative impacts of the BLM-RMP. At the end of the bus tour, I strategically placed my phone on a table on the bus and left it there. When we exited the bus, to end our part of the tour, I purposely left my phone there so that the bus would need to stop a few miles down the road in order to retrieve my phone. It was just my way of setting up a final goodbye to the staffers who seemed very appreciative of my efforts. I would like to thank not only Commissioner Slaughter for his efforts in planning the series of events, but also the Wyoming County Commission Association. I think the whole event was very beneficial to the staffers. And it was really good, as Commissioner Richards mentioned. They had some great questions. So they were definitely engaged. So for those folks who believe that we, as was mentioned, shouldn't be members of the Wyoming County Commission Association, or that it's not worth the money, I just have to suggest they have no idea how far from reality they really reside. On the 13th, along with you all, I was here for a special meeting on the fire restrictions. Also on the 13th, as mentioned, we met with representatives from Senator Barrasso's office. On the 14th, we obviously had lunch with the governor and then a roundtable discussion with him. Do appreciate the governor and thank him for taking a little time to sit and chat with us. On the 16th, attended the Sweetwater Snowpoke Snowmobile and ATV Club for our annual fun run in the Upper Green. We had a great turnout, as we always do. Appeared everyone had a good time, lots of smiles and laughs, so that's always good to see. This event is a fundraiser that helps to pay for the maintenance and satellite phones at our 2 safety shelters, amongst other things. We do some scholarship work and a few things like that. One of those shelters is on the Union Pass at Strawberry Creek. We stacked wood and completed annual maintenance in order for the safety shelter to be ready for the upcoming winter. Full day between a fun run and maintenance. Then on the 17th, they again assisted the snowpokes for maintenance on our Blind Bowl safety shelter, which is up above Blind Bowl Lake, above Alpine. We pressure washed the outside, mowed grass, cleaned inside and out, cleaned the stovepipe, did some painting, split and stacked 2 cords of wood. So now both of our safety shelters are ready for winter use as needed. The Snowpokes mission is to promote good conduct, sportsmanship, safety, and responsible use of public lands for all outdoor enthusiasts, specifically those who enjoy snowmobiling and ATV riding. Our 2 shelters are placed so that all types of users can access them for safety in case of a situation that arises that's unfortunate or unplanned. Once again, I'd want to remind everybody we do have satellite phones installed at both shelters, so hopefully nobody needs the shelter or the phones, but they are there for everyone to use, and they have been used heavily over the years, so we're proud of our projects and what we do for the public. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Yes.
Mr. Tillman?
Do you think you could get a little extra money to get yourself one of those emergency phones?
Sounds like you could use a satellite phone.
I don't need one.
Any other questions for Commissioner Jones? Appreciate the report. I guess I'm next. I'm gonna make it a little bit light. I think Island did a great job kind of recapping the congressional tour, which was the highlight of the last couple of weeks for sure. The day after our last meeting, had the mayor and commissioners luncheon. The mayors of Rock Springs and Green River. Don't have a whole lot to bring back for you there. Sometimes it's just nice to kind of catch up and get away from talking about everything politics. We did a little bit of that, but for the most part, it was just talking about summer, and hard to believe it's already over and things of that nature. So good catching up there. City of Green River did express that they are interested in whatever our future plans may be with the road and bridge facility here in Green River. I know we've talked about that in the past. Currently, obviously, it's being used, and we got a sand and a salt structure over there. So we've tried to work out, something with some projects that were coming to the area to team up with having that up on, Prue Hill or one of those areas. But until that happens, obviously, we'll still utilize that facility. So there's something to keep in mind as we continue to work towards streamlining some of our operations and efficiencies. That evening was the congressional tour dinner at a Buckboard, which was a fantastic setting. I think those in attendance got to see some of the area that we all cherish here around Sweetwater County. And as Commissioner Richards spoke to, I don't think too many of them wanted to leave. It was a late night for some, and in a way, I think that worked out for Commissioner Jones and I on the bus the next morning. That night, having those conversations, there's a good majority of the staffers that were strong in their background with land and natural resource, which were very articulate and sharp. And obviously, us speaking on the resource management plan, I was a little nerved up, so I had to do some homework that night and make sure I was prepared. But we must have done okay, or we put them to sleep because we didn't have a single question. But it was a great opportunity, I think. I'm thankful for the Wyoming County Commissioners Association for putting that on, and they do it by region every year, and it just happened to be in our region this year with a couple other neighboring counties. But a phenomenal experience. I think, it allows for us to kind of show off this area. I heard nothing but good things. A lot of them, like Island said, never understood the importance of Trona or even what it was. They got a boat tour that night before dinner. One of the staffers went up to the boat driver and said, "Oh, your boat's full of Republicans, and I'm from a Democratic office, so I think I'll find another boat." And his response is, "We're not here to talk politics. We're here to show you why we live here. So hop on." And she did, and had a phenomenal time. And I just think that showcases what America used to be. We can all disagree, but really, at the end of the day, it's about taking in the glory of what we have before us. And certainly down there in that area is one special piece of the county. And I thought that was kind of unique. That boat driver was around my age, so that was good to hear that you got a generation that isn't stuck on divisiveness and we can still have a good time. So I think it was a great experience. Rob put in a tremendous amount of work putting that together. And as has been mentioned, unfortunately, he had already prearranged other plans, so he couldn't participate. But phenomenal job. I don't remember when you started planning that, but it was, I mean, last year at some time, almost a year ago, I think. And it takes a lot of coordination, even just to pull off a 24-hour day. But it was a great time. I mean, nothing but laughs and words of encouragement from those in attendance. And I think those, companies and businesses that were able to help showcase this area thoroughly enjoyed it as well. So we certainly appreciate all those partnerships and collaboration, and we'll look forward to attending others in the nearby regions in the future. The only thing that I really think went wrong with that was Commissioner Jones forgetting his phone and having to detour the whole morning by chasing a bus down I-80. But we got it back, but I'd get you a phone. I got the new iPhone 78, and it broke in shipping, so I siliconed it, but it still got really good reception. So you can maybe use that as a satellite phone as well. But I just wanted you to go, we got your back. So I tried to get GPS on it, but that was an added cost, and that phone was only $6. So hopefully that works out well for you.
Maybe you should have given him a soup can with some string,
It should get, it's corded, so it's a little more difficult to lose, but that should work out well for you. Aside from that, obviously the governor was in town last week, attended that luncheon, spoke with him a little bit afterwards, and we were hopeful to maybe get some more insight on the RMP process. The last cooperator meeting we had was June 18th, and back then we were kind of under the impression that things would be moving forward relatively quickly, and we've heard nothing since. So I'm not sure where things are headed there. It still brings us a little bit of pause. Hoping to get more information relatively quick to look into this amendment process or whatever avenue that may be headed down. So we'll continue to keep our eye on that. Else? For the most part, that is it. I obviously have my monthly. We got an opioid committee meeting next Tuesday, Young at Hearts next Tuesday, and the events complex is next Tuesday for me as far as liaison meetings go. And I'll look forward to catching up with those. So I think for the most part, that's it. I'll keep it somewhat brief and stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richard.
your story about Commissioner Chaos losing his phone reminds me that I was remiss in not recognizing that Sally and Cindy were a huge part of that in putting together the trip itself. And then also being a chase vehicle and delivering lunches and chauffeuring us around the county as we either left the bus or chased the bus. So thanks to both of you for all the work you did.
Yeah, no doubt. We absolutely appreciate that. I wasn't sure if I was going to get it right back, but Sally says, I got you. Don't worry about it. So that worked out well. But yeah, good time. Hopefully that phone works out well for you. Commissioner Slaughter, floor is yours, sir.
I get no opportunity to speak.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Jones.
I just wanted to thank you for your consideration and thoughtfulness, and mentioning how I strategically got us more time with the staffers. Worked out quite well.
I've been waiting for quite some time since you gave me a plastic toy steering wheel to get back at you. So that's the best I could come up with. Commissioner Slaughter, welcome back, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back. It was a pleasure to be gone. Something that I didn't realize would be as much of a bucket list as what it turned out to be. I was able to spend 10 days in Africa. All I can say is it was sensational and spectacularly different than what I would have anticipated, but more than I would have anticipated. To talk just a little bit about the congressional tour. It actually started 7 months ago that we started planning for that tour. I was very excited to have the opportunity to be the lead for that congressional tour. I saw an opportunity to give Washington congressional senior level staffers a view of what Wyoming and what Sweetwater County really is. And I didn't realize at the time what it was going to entail, but it was quite a task to put it all together. We had, I couldn't even tell you how many calls with the County Commissioners Association and the other counties that were involved, trying to get our itineraries down to the minute, basically, for something where we were bringing people through 4 counties in the state of Wyoming. I heard nothing but great things about what took place. I knew leaving that my fellow commissioners would do a phenomenal job in showcasing our county. I had no doubt that the people that we worked with to do the tours and to do the dinners, which we had, the lunches, which we had, would be well received and would give those senior policy members a view of Wyoming that they could take back to Washington and use for many, many years. So I believe, as has been previously stated, I won't beat the dead horse, but I believe it's extremely important that we have the opportunity to collaborate with other entities and do things of this nature. It was all done due to the efforts of the Wyoming County Commissioners Association, and it was a pleasure to work with their executive level staff to put this together, along with the other county commissioners that I worked with to do this. I can't thank our staff enough for the things that they did in helping to put it together. And a special thanks to Commissioner Richards. I basically dumped everything on him and said, here's the itinerary, you're in charge. And he took it from there. And as I said, everything that I've heard about it was that it was very, very well received. And I would very seriously doubt that there was anything that they saw on the tour of the other counties that would have been better than the things that they were able to accomplish here in Sweetwater County. So feel very positive about that, and I do believe we'll see benefit from that for many, many years to come in this area. I felt like really the real key was getting them the information on the known sodium lease area. I don't think that people understand obviously what Trona is or how important it is, not only to our local and state markets, but to our global markets. And I think it was an opportunity for them to see that. So while I was gone, I was very thankful. The people who drive in Kenya and Tanzania drive on the wrong side of the road. They are driving in the wrong seat. And I was never so happy in my life to not have Commissioner West driving while we were down there. I felt like there was not much chance that we would have come back alive. So referring back to his steering wheel that was given to him by Commissioner Jones, I'll just say that and add a little bit more humor here. There are some things that you just can't beat to death. You just continue bringing it up. Yesterday, I spent the day trying to get caught up on our specific purpose tax, the collections that we had there. We did receive the monthly payment this month, which once again was extremely higher than what we have had the last few months. It was 1.8 million. So very good news there. I then attended the meeting with Commissioner Richards and Attorney DeLeon and Planner Bingham on the industrial siting. That's something that I think, once again, Sweetwater County has kind of been the lead and has been very, very successful in getting funding through these industrial siting hearings. If the projects ever get started, we'll actually see some true benefit from that, but that was a really good thing. I have got a list of 2 pages of things to do to get caught up with over the next week or two. So I will start working on that as soon as we're done here. I've got a capital meeting this afternoon when we're done, and it will be an extremely busy couple weeks getting caught up. But I thank you all for picking up the slack while I was gone, specifically with respect to the congressional tour, because I think it was, as I've said, I talked to most of the people who were involved yesterday and have heard nothing but very good things about it. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. I said welcome back, but I'll revoke that. And, anyone have any comments or questions for Commissioner Slaughter? I'm glad you had a good time. Sounds like a trip of a lifetime and lots of cool things to see. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes on that flight back, though. That sounded pretty miserable. Commissioner Tillman, the floor is yours.
Well, the lesson is don't slip up or they'll never let you forget it. But it was kind of nice to have a break this time and have the pressure on Commissioner West and Jones. So thanks for taking the heat. Uh, August 6th, I was on the congressional tour. You've heard a lot about that. I joined the bus along with Jim McGagnon at South Pass City and followed it through to Seaskadee, where Cindy and Sally picked us up and took us back to Farson after they delivered lunch to everyone from Wyoming Wifey. Great lunch. We shared information with the 14 staffers about the Red Desert, gave them a map, showed them the Golden Triangle, areas of critical environmental concern in the Rock Springs RMP, pointed out the wilderness study areas and stressed that most of those didn't even qualify for wilderness and should be released. We talked about the Tri-Territory site, which created all of the western half of the United States, basically. Talked about the Endangered Species Act, the Colorado River issues, and salinity. Leading into the Farson Farms and Salinity Project and aging pivot infrastructure. We talked about wild horses, sage grouse, mule deer migration corridor. Jim talked about the Rock Springs Grazing Association and the checkerboard land pattern. We discussed corner crossing issues. And then that evening, I joined the group at Buckboard Marina for a delicious bison steak dinner. So thank you to the Valdez for that. On the 8th, I went to the Forbes family farm down at Sheep Creek. I joined Barb Van Meter and friends at their delicious farm meal prepared by a Denver chef using everything from the farm. It's always a special event, and you have to get reservations in January if you want to attend that. On the 13th, I attend the special meeting to adopt a fire restriction resolution. Just remind all county residents, avoid fire problems. On the 13th, we met with Senator Brasso's staffers, Mara Garrett from his Rock Springs office, and new staffer Gabrielle Murphy. We talked about economic development issues and the Rock Springs BLM resource management plan. On the 14th, attended the chamber luncheon at Santa Fe with Governor Gordon. Afterwards, elected officials met with him, so appreciated that meeting. On the 15th, I went to the Green River Festival and the Cajun Shrimp Boiled Dinner. Wow, what a huge success. Every year it gets bigger and better. Senator Brasso was in attendance, and I visited with him briefly. On the 18th, a library board meeting. Construction on the upgrades to the 3 libraries is progressing nicely. Green River is almost complete. New board members Karen Quickenden and Karen Lackey were in attendance. The foundation board elected Sammy Doak, chairman, and Philip, who used to be on the library board. I can never say his last name. Philip was on the library board. Do you remember? What? Pazia. I'm sorry, Philip. Anyway, he's vice chairman. They meet quarterly, and they just donated $65,000 to the library to cover programming shortfalls on the budget. The legislature's Joint Judiciary Committee met, and the library draft bill was discussed for the 3rd time. They will take no more testimony. The majority of the testimony is against fining or penalizing libraries for sexually explicit materials for youth. I don't know why the legislators cannot attend a summer school to learn what issues they should be discussing instead of dealing with everyone else's business. Sorry. Anyway, all library programs for the fall will begin after Labor Day. Upcoming, we attend a coalition of local governments meeting in Lyman on Thursday to discuss all the federal issues. On the 25th, the Sweetwater Combined Communications Center meets at 2:30 at the Sheriff's Training Center. On the 26th, Golden Hour Senior Center at 4 p.m. On the 27th, Emergency Management System is holding their threat assessment workshop at the Sheriff's Training Center from 9 to 11. They're also doing another one, I believe, from 10 to 12 on September 3rd. I will plan to attend the one on the 27th. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate your report. Any questions, comments for Commissioner Tillman? If not, we are 20 minutes ahead of schedule. That's going to bring us to tab C, which is the action presentation items. We have a break scheduled for 10 minutes. Let's come back here. Yeah, about 10:15, and we'll go into the resolution for the Wyoming horse racing. Take about 10-minute break. All right, let's call this meeting back to order. We have returned from break. And where we left off was item number 2 under tab C, which is a resolution granting the approval for Wyoming Horse Racing Incorporated to conduct pari-mutuel wagering on live horse racing, historic horse racing, and simulcast events at satellite facilities. Joining us today is Wyoming Horse Racing LLC Executive Vice President Pete Ligori, President Nick Hughes, and Executive Vice President John Sheldon, I believe. I believe all are here. We obviously went over this a couple weeks ago, kind of laid the groundwork on what the purpose was of that. Since then, the attorneys for both parties have kind of worked back and forth on some of the language and some proposed, I guess, options before you this morning. So I would start with, I guess, asking if Wyoming Horse Racing has anything they would like to address or discuss. Morning.
Morning, Commissioner West and fellow commissioners. I'm John Sheldon, Executive Vice President of Wyoming Horse Racing. We're here really just to follow up on the meeting that Nick Hughes had with you in person 2 weeks ago, presenting our case to move our location from 110 Uinta Drive to 420 Uinta Drive for an OTB location. The owner of the property is here, Don Johnson, and we have reviewed the different, I think we have 2 options in front of the commission today for the resolution. And we're frankly fine with either one that the commissioners choose, hopefully to approve. And with that, I'll just stand for any questions.
Thanks, John. We appreciate that. Any questions for Wyoming Horse Racing commissioners?
We'll be there for lunch when you're ready.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, just for some clarity here, obviously we discussed their operation is looking to expand, and in order to do that, they need to change locations. They're moving up the street or intending to. At that time, we felt as though it would be easier and I guess more clean, if you will, to address some of the existing resolutions that are in place. They have 2 locations currently, one in Rock Springs, one in Green River, as far as what comes before us. And so they will be up against, I believe their your permit through the state. I'm drawing a blank here.
So Chairman West, I believe that the current Green River location expires next year in terms of the resolution. The Rock Springs has no expiration. It was approved several years ago. And I think we're fine with combining the 2. And we would only ask that we have an extension on the approval process to the end of our gaming license period, which would be December 31st, 2029.
Yeah, thanks. That's the word I was looking for, was the gaming commission. So obviously with that resolution expiring at the end of 2026, it kind of puts them in a difficult position with making an investment and then, not having a little bit of reassurance there. So we're trying to align with the gaming commission by extending that for what would be then a 3-year term that would expire at the end of 2029. And in doing such, clean up some of the language and make that in congruency with the Rock Springs resolution at the same time. Some of the other competitors in the area, we've done the same thing for, so this kind of more or less, I guess, puts every resolution sort of on the same terms, if you will. There's 2 options that are before you. One of them has a revocation clause in it. Not that, there's any concern there. We've had a continued, relationship with Wyoming Horse Racing, especially, that has worked well and allowed for other improvements to the events complex in those areas. But we just thought at this time it was a way to kind of clean up the resolution and I guess bring everything back to congruency. So anyone have any questions or comments on that? John, is there anything you wanted to add?
Just listening to your description there, Mr. Chairman, I think that what is being asked based on what I heard you describe there would be a motion to approve resolution number 2508 CC01 with a term extending through December 31st of 2029 with a revocation option pursuant to a gross violation of Wyoming statutes, rules and regulations, or local ordinances.
Any questions on that? I concur.
Yes.
Commissioner Toman.
John, where's the date, 2029? Where's the date in that document?
It is on page 2, item number 5.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I think maybe the confusion is we have the two attachments in front of us in there, and the second one only has 2 paragraphs
Red.
under the therefore and doesn't have those dates. So I assume we're working from the first document.
So since then, which is kind of part of the issues with obviously having to have our agenda and our packet put together a week prior to the meeting, the attorneys have conversed back and forth. So John emailed us all on when was this?
Okay.
Friday with the 2 proposed options. So one is combining the Rock Springs and Green River into one resolution under the same terms, extending it through 2029 with no clause in regards to revocation. Second option has all of that along with the revocation clause.
So we're working from the email then.
Yes.
Okay.
The rest was already discussed and kind of worked through
I got
when
it
the
now.
packet originally came out. But it sounds like both parties have discussed either of these 2 options and feel comfortable with them, if I understand that.
That's correct, Commissioner West, or Chairman West, excuse me.
Any other questions or clarifications I can help out with there?
Yeah.
Commissioner Slaughter?
Mr. Chairman, just to comment, I think that this gets us in line with what we've been trying to accomplish with each of the entities that are doing the horse racing here locally. I do believe that option 2 with the revocation clause makes sense. So just from my perspective in reading it the other day, when I first read it, that was the one that I would have fallen in line with.
Yeah, and it's confusing. I had forgot how many of these were out there. There's 3 businesses. You've got Wyoming Downs, Wyoming Horse Racing, and the 307 Horse Racing. And so some of those have a little bit different language. This cleans it up so that they all have congruent language, which is possibly where some of that confusion came from. I appreciate you all willing to work with us on that. And I mean, like I said, the relationship continues to be positive. So, look forward to continuing that. We're just trying to clean everything up on our end and hopefully simplify it a little bit on your guys's too.
We understand and thank you for your consideration.
Very good. Any further comments or discussion? Let me find that email here. I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 25-08-CC-01. A resolution approving both the Green River and Rock Springs satellite facilities for Wyoming Horse Racing LLC to conduct pari-mutuel wagering on live horse racing, historic horse racing, and simulcast events at the noted satellite facilities through December 31st, 2029, with the revocation clause requiring gross negligence as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Pete. and Good luck down at the east side of the state.
Yeah.
That's going to move us to item number 3 under tab C of the action presentation items, which is a resolution authorizing the appointment of a special prosecutor. I believe we have our Chief Deputy here, John De Leon, to answer any questions or offer any explanation if you'd wish. Pretty standard, we've done in the past from time to time, but any comments or questions on the request?
Mr. Chairman, I think it probably would be good just to have Attorney De Leon for the record, just explain to us
Bet.
what's being done here before we consider.
Just for the record, for the public, should the county attorney determine that there may be the appearance of a conflict or an actual conflict, he will then ask another county attorney to review and potentially prosecute that case. In that situation, that requires the consent of the Board of County Commissioners to appoint that special prosecutor. So what you have before you is that case with Sublette County having agreed to handle this matter. As the resolution identifies, there is no charge or there are no costs associated with that. And so with that being said, we would ask for a motion to approve Resolution 25-08 CC 03, appointing a special prosecutor.
Thank you, John. Any questions, follow-up? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve Resolution 25-08-CC 03, resolution authorizing the appointment of a special prosecutor as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Moving right along to item number 4, we've got a request from the Eden Saloon and RV Park for a catering permit for the Wardell wedding. And joining us this morning is County Clerk Cindy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. As Chairman West said, Eden Valley Saloon is looking for a one-day catering permit for the Wardell wedding that will be held out in their area there in Farson.
It will be held at Fontenelle at the ranch, Pullman Ranch. It's
Yeah.
my nephew.
Ah, well, congratulations to him.
Thanks, Clerk Lane. Any questions for the catering permit, Commissioners? We had that one that we amended the agenda for from Santa Fe, and it's not our first time approving a catering permit, but when I went through it, I realized there's no spot to list where the event's taking place. So I believe Clerk Lane and her office are going to tweak that application form just so we know exactly where we're approving a permit to take place at. So
Yeah, we have to contact, these are state forms, so we'll contact the state. I'm sure there's not going to be a problem with it, but we will change that so that we can add where the event will take place, as the other permits have a spot to tell us where they're at.
Mr. Chairman, it says location of sales, but nothing's filled in that place. You have some other stuff typed over it, applicants that are receiving anything of value, blah, 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 but
Yeah,
there is a place there for location of sales.
yeah, we'll get it tweaked so we can fix it up, make it look appropriate.
very good. With no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Eden Saloon and RV Park's request for a catering permit for the Wardell wedding as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
I'll be back.
Thanks, City. Appreciate it. It's going to move us to item number 5. We've got a capital request to purchase firewalls. Joining us this morning is County IT Director Tim Knight. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Our firewalls go end of life in October, and it's time for us to replace those. So we've been evaluating which firewalls we should get over the last year or so, about 10 months. After looking at 3 main contenders, we've decided to stay with Cisco firewalls. And so we went out and got quotes on those. We asked for three of our resellers to quote that. We got back quotes from two of them, including professional services. Advanced Network Management had the better hardware cost, and 954 Consulting had the better professional services. I did ask if we could separate those out. And so my recommendation would be to buy our hardware through Advanced Network Management and to get the professional services from 954 Consulting. I do not believe shipping's included, so if we approve A&M to do that, please include the cost plus shipping in your proposal. But that would be my recommendation. So I'm asking for approval from the board to do that, to move ahead.
Okay, thanks, Tim. So walk me through that one more time, because Advanced Networking Management's proposal is clearly defined and 954 is not. So what were you wanting from A&M versus the professional services coming from 954? What was A&M's piece?
So A&M piece would be the hardware, the firewalls, which would be for the amount of for the hardware to come from Advanced Networking Management, which would include all the firewalls, licensing, and that sort of stuff, for 108,926.50 plus shipping. And then the professional services, which would be helping us get that configured, installed, and put out. A&M is proposing 24,996.77. 954 Consulting will do it for 15,160. And so I think we could save almost $10,000 there by having 954 do the professional services.
I'm following you. That would be total cost of 124,8650
Yeah, plus shipping.
plus shipping.
Yeah.
I believe we budgeted 145.
145.
Questions on the capital request, commissioners? Okay, if not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the firewalls and hardware from Advanced Networking Management in the amount of $108,926.50 plus shipping costs, along with approving the professional services from 954 Consulting in the amount of $15,160 as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Just to be clear, total expense would be $124,086.50. This was budgeted accordingly in the capital committee for 145, so we're under budget with that. Any other comments or questions? If not, we do have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
I think.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Next item is item number 6. We've got change order number 1 to the Southwest Counseling Jonah Facility Home Project, ARPA Grant HHS-1127. Joining us this morning is Public Works Director Gene Legursky. Morning, Gene.
Good morning, Chairman, and everybody else. Sorry,
Monday.
it's been one of those mornings. Yeah, I tell people I don't have Mondays anymore. They're all Friday the 13th. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history on this. Back in December, this was bid out, and if you remember when we awarded it, we pulled money out of it to make sure that we were underneath the grant request. What we did is we pulled all the site work, all the concrete work that wasn't immediately adjacent to the building, all the paving, everything like that, because it was the easiest bid package to pull out of that to get underneath that. We've been always trying to figure out how to get this back in there. Well, in January, February, when we were going through the budgeting process, we tried to get a hold of the state. The state will not allow us to combine other grants with this one, even though we have 4 through them for 4 different facilities. We're Southwest Counseling. So we're stuck with that. So what we did is we went and asked the capital committee, got it budgeted through you guys for an additional $80,000 to go specifically toward that project. So we can max out the grant, put in our $80,000 and get this project completely done. So that's how it ended up happening. So the 80,000 is coming from us. It is our facility out there. They need the paving and the concrete done. They can't occupy the building without that. So when we were going through the process, it was a good way to use, you know, the total cost of all the site work was 330,000. We chip in 80, the rest of it, we expend 100% of the grant. So that's kind of how this all came about.
Such a weird process. So
Strange process. And that's why I kind of tried to go through everything
Yeah.
because it's
did
it's
that give
convoluted at best.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so what it was is we originally reduced the contract and now we're adding back money into the contract to expend the grant plus $80,000 to get everything done.
Very good.
Great facility. If you guys haven't had a chance to stop by, it's going to be a great facility for them. Finally done after moving in those modulars a while ago, 2020, something like that. So
I think it was before that even.
it might have been. It was a long time ago.
Questions on the change order, commissioners? Not, I'd entertain a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of 330,000 to the Southwest Counseling Jonah Facility Home Project Harper Grant HHS-1127 and allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Item number 7 is the Sweetwater County Public Works Combined Facility Change Order number 1 for time only. We'll hand it back to Gene.
So what this is for the combined facility. This is the only change order that has been done on the project, and it's for time. As you can imagine, with a remodel project, we ran into some issues out there the contractors had to deal with, the architects had to deal with. We have, during some of those, it just takes time. You know, you run into a beam or something like that that wasn't expected, wasn't on the as-built plans. You got to get with the structural. Hey, we got to move this. What do we got to do? So it just adds time. So instead of doing that incrementally through the project, we've kind of just been keeping track of how long those have been costing us and decided to come to you guys with one change order at the end and say, okay, this is where we can make up. Just of note, substantial completion should probably be reached with the main building. Building E is what we're calling it. It's the main building up front this week. We did a substantial walkthrough on Friday, minor painting, stuff like that. The other one, the back building, the middle building that had the most work done is the one that has been causing us the most hiccup. Just for that exact reason, you know, by the time you get everybody involved and get the right solution for the project and move on, it just takes more time. So.
Very good. Thanks, Gene. Any questions on change order number 1 for the Public Works Combined Facility? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve change order number 1 for time, extending the substantial completion date from August 15th, 2025 to September 24th, 2025 at the Sweetwater County Public Works Combined Facility and allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Item number 8 is the Verizon Wireless First Amendment to Land Lease Agreement. And we'll hand it back to Gene, who's also accompanied by John De Leon.
So I'll give some little bit of background to this and then John can pitch in on all the rest of the important stuff. We were first contacted by American Tower and the city of Rock Springs. This is out at the fairgrounds. There's already a cell tower out there back in 2021. And we've been working on this ever since. So it's good to get this on for, it's a total of 255 square feet that they're going to add on to the northwest side of the tower, plus an access easement, plus a utility easement. The fair, Candy and Drew, specifically Drew, are okay with this. As far as, you know, getting everything in there. They're basically putting another pad and a generator out there and fencing it. We'll work through the logistics, where they're exactly accessing, what concrete they got to take out and stuff like that. What John took the opportunity to do is combine, instead of having two things out there, one for the main facility, one for the 255 square foot. We basically combined everything and came up with a better solution for everybody. If you remember 6 or 8 months ago, John and I gave you guys an update about what we wanted to do as far as escalation and stuff like that. American Tower was amenable to that. It just took a while to look through all the legal paperwork. So what you have in front of you is the complete document combined for both facilities. And it goes through 2035, I believe, when we look at the numbers. So John, you want to add anything more?
These are tough because there's a lot of proprietary information, so it's tough to get into the weeds with the folks that are wanting the cell tower in terms of getting into the terms, how much it would increase based on the term length, how much it would increase by the use, how much, what the tenants are paying, what their revenues are. All that is stuff that we weren't able to work with. And so, Gene was able to sort of look at it from a holistic point of view and said, hey, we've got an escalator. We know how much we're getting, dollar per square foot. And so just made sure that the per square foot on the additional 255 was more than the original amount. Verified that the amount being paid was consistent with the original escalator, and then increased the escalator amount for moving forward. So this final draft ends up having a higher escalator by several percent. And so it'll outpace inflation is the goal. We looked into the inflation rate with the Wyoming Administration and Information Economic Analysis Division, which was listing inflation in our region at 4.3 to make sure 4.3% to make sure that we were matching not just nationally but locally. And so in the end, it'll be, as Gene mentioned, they have 5-year terms. It'll automatically renew for 5-year terms. It began in 2012. The current land lease agreement goes through 2037. This amendment does 2 things. It increases the escalator, or excuse me, 3 things. Increases the escalator, adds the 255 square feet, and adds 1 additional term of 5 years, which would then go through, I think Gene's promised he'll be here in 2042. So those are the 3 components that are added through this amendment.
Thanks, John and Gene. So let me make sure I'm getting this correct, because I'm seeing we've got the first amendment, which you've incorporated everything, but do we also need to approve? Looks like we have Exhibit A, B. There's a memorandum of lease. Or are you saying that this amendment includes all of that?
It includes all of it.
Okay, very good. And this is actually with
It is with, so
ComNet Cellular that's doing business as Verizon.
it's Verizon, and American Tower does it on their behalf. So they have their own agreement with Verizon, but it is essentially an agreement with Verizon.
American Tower that we keep referring to as kind of the middleman to negotiate our lease, basically.
So then it's also listed ComNet Cellular Incorporated.
That's the other one that wants to co-locate on this, we believe, but we can't get a definite answer out of that one.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I do have one concern as I read this. Paragraph 6, non-compete. Maybe you can allay my concerns, John or Gene. But basically what it says is during the original term, we would not be able to lease out any other property that we own that's even attached to where we're leasing this out. Now that you said this is at the fairgrounds, which is a half a section of property, if somebody else identified a piece of property almost a mile away on our property, it seems like under this lease, we wouldn't be able to lease that piece of property to somebody else without this lessor's permission. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, basically.
And so, because I didn't see that in the original contract. Is this something that we negotiated away in return for the escalating rent, or is this just something they put in there that?
It was in the original. It should have been in the original. And they're aware of the other one that we've had. There is also, again, a termination clause, which kicks in after 15 years. So it's in play in,
27.
yeah, 27.
2012.
So if there's ever a need with 6 months' notice.
Yeah.
So that is something I think we have identified that we had the other cell tower to them, the other one that we have. So
Yeah, I'm just not seeing a non-compete in the original
the original,
2012
let me look at-
contract. Maybe I'm just missing it.
And I could, the other thing we could certainly, if you wanted to postpone it and get any clarification, we could certainly do that as well.
Yeah.
We do have the county has a check that is pending, being cashed.
Yeah.
Which could move forward on
Good
because it's
report. I
pursuant.
just want to make
to
sure. Yeah, we got a check from them randomly about a month ago. That's been in the treasurer's vault, I think about that long. So
Well, I just
want to
want
make
to,
sure this is
Mr.
done.
Chairman, I just want to be careful that we don't sign away some rights here to make use of another remote piece of property out there. I doubt there's even anything pending that would be possible, but I just hate to sign away those rights because a paragraph jumped into a contract that we didn't address.
I'm still a little bit, go ahead, Gene.
On that, if you guys want to postpone that, where it basically says, or the right to use or occupy any portion of the parent parcel, we added a period there and then struck the rest of that.
Like, what's the parent parcel defined
Parent
as? Just
parcel.
the entire events complex.
Yeah,
wouldn't it
I
be?
mean,
And that's like I said, that's half a square mile. So from one end to the other is a mile. That's all.
move it next door and stuff right by the armory that we own.
Well, so I'm saying is
Yeah.
say somebody came to us and said, we'd like to rent that property at the armory to put up a communications tower, and it made sense to us, and they offered us a ridiculous amount of money, we'd have to say no. Pending Verizon's.
I'd have to double check. I believe those are two separate parcels. One's in the county, one's in the,
If we put it back down by
Yeah.
Boris Tuck
No, I know what
Park
you're saying. Yeah.
instead, that's, still creates the same issue.
Yeah.
Any issues with postponing this other than
Mm.
the payment we've been holding on to, it sounds like? So I'm still a little bit confused as well. We've got, the opening paragraph, the opening amendment. It's between us as Sweetwater County, obviously, and ComNet Cellular doing business as Verizon Wireless. But then down below, it references American Tower. And then there's also ATC Sequoia, but I think that's their attorney in fact, it looks like, the more I look into that. But I'm not sure where American Tower comes in and where ComNet Cellular / Verizon comes in.
I think originally, and this is just, and John can bite, the American Tower was the original lease. That's why it's a whereas. Original lease was done with American Tower. And so we're just noting that, basically.
So yeah, so they are an agent of, one is the doing business, it's Verizon. So they've got a doing business as scenario. That's the first one. And then American Tower has a master agreement with Verizon saying that we can, if we basically can get any leases, then I'm sure there's some payment made to American Tower.
Okay.
So it's them as an agent of Verizon.
Okay.
And so that's why, I contemplated that, Mr. Chairman, scratching that out, because I didn't want a scenario where it appeared that the agreement was with American Tower, and then American Tower would have essentially an advantage over Verizon. But after reading it a few times, I felt like it was identifying them as an agent, not that the agreement was with them in isolation.
Understood. I'm with you now. Sounds like we need to postpone for a little further clarity on that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would move we postpone this to pursue some clarity on paragraph 6 and the need. If the need is there, I'm willing to entertain it, but I think that makes more sense in a 1 or 2 acre lease versus a 300 acre piece of property where we should reserve a right to have other contracts in other geographic regions that are within that property. So
Well, on that, I think we've had one, right? Didn't we just have a temporary
Temporary.
came through for AT&T?
Yeah, there was a temporary out there during big events. Sometimes they throw temporaries up because they can't handle it off that one tower.
All right, we do have a motion to postpone the Verizon Wireless First Amendment to the land lease agreement by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, Gene. John? The last item, we removed item number 9 because we took that up at a special meeting last week. So we added back in the amended request, a Santa Fe Trails request for a catering permit for the Solvay Barbecue. Joining us again is Clerk Lane.
Seeing what time it is. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Yes, on behalf of Santa Fe Trails, they appreciate that you amended the agenda for this. They've had a change in, they had a retirement and a new person is in this position who thought they just had to ask the city. So by the time they got the answers that it belonged to the county, it was a couple days past our deadline. So they appreciate you adding this to the agenda. Solvay is having their barbecue out in Jamestown, and Santa Fe Trail is requesting a catering permit to provide the food and beverages for this event on August 21st.
Thank you, Cindy. Any questions on the catering permit request? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the catering permit for Santa Fe Trails to cater to the Solvay Barbecue event on August 21st as presented.
so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second, I thought she said 25th, not 21st.
21st.
It's 21st.
Yeah, 8/21 of 2025.
Okay, thank you.
I have a motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clerk Lane. Appreciate it. It's going to end the regular business before us this morning, Commissioners. We do have an executive session request to discuss a legal matter. Action is not anticipated. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Toman. We are going to go across the hallway in the Castle Rock room. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session and reconvene the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Toman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. After coming out of executive session, there is no action to be taken. And as such, that concludes the regular business today.